2 years after a fishing vessel sunk off the Alaskan coast, killing 6 people, the Coast Guard has released its final report into what happened. And it's become the world's greatest aviation mystery 5 years after a Malaysian Airlines flight disappeared. Family members of victims are not giving up in their search for answers. A King 5 investigation reveals major flaws in Washington State's special education system and how state lawmakers are aiming to get students with disabilities the support that they need. After 2 years of an investigation that included a hearing right here in Seattle, the Coast Guard released a detailed report about what led a fishing boat to sink. The destination went down 2 years ago in the Bering Sea, claiming the lives of all 6 people on board. King 5's Amy Morfino was at the Coast Guard briefing and has more.
The Coast Guard says it was not one thing that led to these deaths, but multiple factors that likely made the boat unstable and led to its sinking. Now the owner of the boat faces the possibility of civil penalties.
We're waiting for this day with the Coast Guard, and it's been rough for 2 years, and it's been hard to accept that he's gone.
For families that have lost so much, it's been a long and painful process. A handful looked on as the Coast Guard released the results of their 2-year probe into what happened to the destination.
Well, we hope by using this report of investigation, we can prevent another tragedy like this from happening again.
Investigators concluded there were several factors involved in the sinking, including improper loading, the decision to head out in weather that was marked by freezing spray conditions, crew fatigue, and a lack of proper stability instructions for the boat.
Since 1993, some changes had been made to the vessel. Those should have been incorporated into updated stability instructions that then the master could follow and keep the vessel within stability limitations.
Coast Guard Command believes the incident was preventable and current regulations are sufficient to keep crew members safe, but in this case, they were not followed. The Coast Guard plans to pursue civil penalties against the boat's owner. For family members, there's still a long road of grief ahead.
The Coast Guard spent 2 years investigating why it happened. We're going to spend the rest of our lives with that same question.
The parents of Kai Hammock say they've noticed some safety improvements since the incident. Still, it does nothing to bring their son back. His mother wears his name around her neck and says he always had a smile on his face.
He cared a lot. He was funny. He was outgoing. He was very responsible. His character, we miss him around the house.
And the families were able to get a look at the report yesterday. Obviously still a very difficult and emotional thing for them. We reached out to the boat's owner this afternoon. His attorney responded saying he's grateful for all the work that the Coast Guard has done on this, but at this point he's not going to comment on the substance of the report because of the potential for civil penalties. In Seattle, Amy Morfino, King 5 News.
Relatives of the 239 victims of the missing Malaysia Airlines flight gathered today for a 5th anniversary commemoration in Malaysia. The plane disappeared on March 8, 2014. Some pieces of the plane washed up in Africa. Malaysia, Australia, and China called off a 2-year, $200 million underwater search in January of 2017 after finding no trace of the aircraft. A top Malaysian official said that they will consider resuming the search if companies interested in the hunt come forward with viable proposals or credible leads.
There might be some new technology over the last 12 months, so we are prepared to look at that, and we are willing to discuss with them. If they can convince us that the new technology can be more efficient in terms of the search, then we are more than willing to restart.
A second search for the plane led by U.S. exploration firm Ocean Infinity ended unsuccessfully in May of last year. A man was shot and killed by deputies in Lewis County overnight. Deputies pulled up on a man in a car parked at a dead end on Rainy Creek Road. After checking his driving status, deputies say that he had a felony warrant out of Pierce County for rape and child molestation. When deputies tried to take him into custody, they said that he pointed a weapon at them, prompting the officers to open fire. The deputy and the reserve deputy involved will be placed on paid administrative leave. Also new tonight, a car smashes into a super supplement store in Burien. Witnesses say that it appears an elderly man meant to reverse but was in drive when he crashed into the business. The driver suffered minor injuries, but the storefront, as you can see, took the brunt of the accident. All right, we are following some breaking news out of Alabama. More than a dozen people are dead after a tornado rolls through Alabama. The Lee County Sheriff says at least 14 people were killed and others are hospitalized with serious injuries. Crews are still searching the debris for others who are missing. Meteorologist Darren Peck is tracking the situation and has more.
Give you an idea how long ago this was, Jenna. Several hours. You can see the line of storms that was responsible for that now marching towards the panhandle of Florida. Alabama back here, the storms have already moved on and they're well off towards the southeast. If we come in for a close-up look, the icons on here show you where tornado storm reports have happened. The one that was the most troubling, and there were several today, not just the one that took the lives of 14 people. There were several scattered throughout the southeast, but the one that did the worst damage was right here east of Tuskegee, and the small town of Beauregard is where most of the fatalities happened with that. And if we look at the big picture on this, there are still tornado watches in place as you go down towards the panhandle of Florida and southern Georgia. Thankfully, no warnings at this point, so things are quieting down as that line of thunderstorms moves east. All right, back here at home, our story is cold, and the real issue for us is kind of an easy one now, considering the way February's gone. I don't have any rain or snow coming our way in the near term, but I do have cold numbers for tomorrow morning. We're going down to 28 for Seattle officially, but look down in the South Sound where the cold air is still bottled up. We're only going to 20 for Olympia will be the morning low, and Chehalis is going all the way down to 19. It's going to be blue skies for the first part of the week, but there is another chance for rain or snow by the middle of this week, and I'll have more on that coming up in the forecast in a few minutes. For now, Jenna, back over to you.
The first commercial flights will take off from Everett's Payne Field tomorrow. Alaska Airlines will operate 18 daily nonstop flights to 8 West Coast destinations. Those include Los Angeles, San Diego, Portland, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. United Airlines starts its service March 31st with 6 daily flights, 2 to Denver and 4 to San Francisco at the new terminal at Payne Field. There is valet parking, a concierge desk, and a 2-gate terminal designed to feel more like a lounge. A proposed budget cut in Alaska could have a major impact on one community here in Washington. The Alaska legislature wants to reduce its ferry service to save money. One of the routes on the chopping block, the weekly sailing from Bellingham to Ketchikan, with the money in flux, there are currently no sailing scheduled between October 2019 and June of next year. Bellingham residents say losing that ferry route won't just be an inconvenience, it'll impact small businesses tied to the ferry service like Coffee Junction.
We get a lot of traffic in the summer. The folks that take the ferry have to be there at 6 a.m. They stay there till 6 p.m. So they often have lunch here, refreshments here, they're walking their dogs up here, but they also spend a lot of time in town.
A spokesman for the Alaska Ferry says Bellingham would have full service through this summer. Reductions would start in September with no sailings as of October 1st. If you live in Ballard or West Seattle, it's time to weigh in on planning light rail routes in your neighborhood. Sound Transit is working on finalizing the light rail routes. Michael Taylor-Judd is chair of the West Seattle Transportation Coalition. He says West Seattle residents should pay attention now, even though construction is still years away.
There's a considerable number of houses up in the neighborhood, up around Oregon, close to the junction, that the route has actually changed from what people voted on just a year or two ago. And so there may be many neighbors up there who don't realize that their houses are under threat of being taken in order to do the light rail.
The West Seattle light rail line is expected to start running in 2030. Light rail to Ballard is scheduled to start in 2035. Looking ahead, First Lady Melania Trump will be in Seattle tomorrow to promote her Be Best initiative. It focuses on the social well-being of children. Mrs. Trump will tour a tech company near Seattle and see demonstrations of programs aimed at teaching online safety to children. Now to the latest on the measles outbreak. Health officials confirmed 71 cases in Washington state. That includes 2 new cases in Clark County, which now has a total of 70 measles cases. There's also 1 confirmed case in King County, and in Oregon's Multnomah County, 4 cases are linked to the Washington state outbreak. Ahead, back of the class, we told you about Washington state being one of the worst in the county when it comes to special education, how lawmakers are now taking action. And pause for reading a program aims at boosting the confidence of young readers in the classroom. King 5 News is back after this.